Welcome to the Ultimate Music Theory Level 6 Supplemental Workbook Teacher Training. It's going to be a very full presentation today, so grab a pen and get ready to take some good notes and have some fun too. I'm Glory St. Germain, and together with Sheila McKibben-Uren, we've created the Ultimate Music Theory program. As you can see, we like to have fun. We're here to support you. So feel free to jot down any questions that you may have. And if I haven't answered them in this teacher training session, just contact us and we will be more than happy to answer them for you. The Ultimate Music Theory Rudiments workbooks are taught together with the UMT Supplemental series and can help students prepare for nationally recognized theory examinations, including the 2016 Royal Conservatory of Music Theory syllabus. Now, not only are the UMT workbooks fun to learn, but they are also easy to teach because we've created the only series with identical matching answer books, saving you hours of time, right, for quick, easy, and accurate marking. And we know because we're teachers too. Now, Sheila and I love working with the UMT Dream Team, and we want to recognize 3 Ultimate Music Theory certified teachers for their contributions to the supplemental series. So in the front row, on the left, starting on the left, is Julianne Workington, and she's our piano series composer who has an original peculiar pet composition for sight reading and analysis in each of the supplemental workbooks. In the middle is Ruth Douglas, our harmony in history and analysis consultant, who has the knowledge of Wikipedia. She's absolutely brilliant. And Joanne Barker, our Ultimate Music Theory games creator, who has a creative genius in game design, and she is super fun. So that's our UMT Dream Team. Ultimate Music Theory takes complicated concepts and we make it fun and we make it easy. And today you will learn the answers to what, why, how, where, and who for Level 6. The UMT workbooks plus the UMT supplemental series equal the RCM, Royal Conservatory of Music Theory examination levels. Now, each workbook correlates to the matching supplemental level, and today we will cover the intermediate rudiments and level 6, which of course is followed by level 7. The advanced rudiments is used with level 8, and the all-in-one complete rudiments workbook covers all the concepts in basic, intermediate, and advanced rudiments. And the all-in-one complete supplemental workbook covers all concepts, including all the music history and composers from all the supplemental levels. So you definitely want to have this at your fingertips for sure. This UMT Club class looks like they're having a great time, don't they? In today's session, you will learn about intermediate rudiments and the Level 6 supplemental workbook that helps students prepare for the RCM Level 6 theory exam. I've got 5 bright ideas for teaching Level 6 for you today. The building blocks of music lay the foundation of form and analysis, and they really light the way to score success in melody writing and music history. So get ready, right? At UMT, we got you covered, and today is about Level 6 and the new concepts, 5 bright ideas for teaching, the Level 6, of course, plus a UMTC success story from our very own Ultimate Music Theory certified teacher, Debbie Scott from Ontario, Canada. The Level 6 table of contents starts with the comparison chart that itemizes the new concepts in the supplemental series. Plus, we've included a bonus Level 6 theory exam and a special certificate to recognize your students upon the completion of Level 6. So there's the comparison chart, all the new concepts, and then, of course, the complete theory exam for level 6 and that certificate. And everybody loves to, celebrate their accomplishments, obviously. If you have your intermediate rudiments workbook and your level 6 supplemental workbooks and answer books handy, you can follow along with the pages that we're going to be covering today. So you might want to go grab those really quick. The level 6 comparison chart maps out the RCM level 6 theory concepts with the level 6 supplemental workbook. And supplemental workbook pages are indicated with a star as new concepts are introduced in the 2016 theory syllabus. And these concepts are reviewed in the analysis pages and cover everything that you need to complete those exams. So let me ask you a question. Are you ready? Are you ready? Say yes. We're having a good time today. I'm so happy that you're here. So let me ask you a question. Are you ready to learn 5 bright ideas for teaching level 6? Say yes. Just put it in the chat box so I know you're with me. Okay, then let's light up your musical light bulb and see how we can incorporate these ideas into your teaching today, because we're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get started. 5 bright ideas for teaching level 6. The first bright idea is cadences. What are they called? Well, here we go. In the intermediate rudiments on page 114, students are introduced to 3 types of cadences. So what are they called? Well, a perfect cadence is also known as an authentic cadence, which is the 5-1 cadence. A plagal cadence is a 4-1 cadence. And an imperfect cadence is also known as a half cadence, or a 1-5 or a 4-5 cadence. So the cadences are perfect or authentic, plagal, imperfect, or half cadence. In the intermediate rudiments workbooks, we're going to be introduced to cadences. Now meet my student Quinn, a musician in the making, as we talk about the what of cadences. Well, Quinn, today we're starting intermediate rudiments and the level 6 supplemental workbook, and we're working on cadences. Woohoo! Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yay! All right, turn over in your book, Quinn, to page 114. And today we're reviewing a little bit about cadences and what are they called, right? So let's check it out. When you're talking about the perfect cadences, what's another name for the perfect cadence?
An authentic cadence.
Authentic, great. So we see that, what are the functional chord symbols for that are?
5 and 1.
5 and 1. Okay, so perfect is also called authentic. Now the plagal cadence, what are the functional chord symbols for that one?
4 and 1.
4 and 1, perfect. And then, or I should say plagal, ha ha ha. And then imperfect, which is also called a half cadence. Now what about that one?
Those are 1-5 or 4-5.
Right. Now I noticed that we're using Roman numerals. And so what's the difference, Quinn, when we use uppercase Roman numerals and lowercase Roman numerals?
A lowercase Roman numeral means that it's a minor chord.
Minor chord, okay. And uppercase indicates?
Uppercase means that it's a major chord.
Major chord. Okay, so let's take a look at the whiteboard and grab your marker and we'll get ready to kind of fill in some blanks here. So we see that we've indicated we're working on authentic, also known as perfect, plagal, half cadence, also known as imperfect. Now on the circle of fifths, Quinn, if we look at the key signature of these measures, what key are we thinking in here?
We're thinking C major right here.
C major. Okay, what does C major have in it?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. All right. So in the very first one, when we're identifying the cadences based on functional chord symbols, we're going to use what?
Roman numerals.
Roman numerals. Excellent. So because we're in a major key, are we using uppercase or lowercase?
We're using all uppercase.
All uppercase. Okay, so let's go ahead and first identify the root. So the root is always the lowest note, right? Not of the triad, but of the overall chord. So the root is always in the bass clef based on a keyboard cadence. So go ahead and write in the root note for that very first cadence. The root is who?
G.
G, and then?
And C.
Okay, and go ahead and put in the functional chord symbols for that cadence. Excellent. Okay, so now let's do the Plagal cadence. So what are the functional chord symbols? Well, actually, first we're doing the root, right? So who's the root note?
The root here is F and C.
F and C. And what is that cadence called?
That is a Plagal cadence.
Plagal cadence, okay. And then what are the functional chord symbols?
4 and 1.
Excellent. Okay, now we're talking about half cadence, and that's also referred to as an imperfect cadence. So go ahead and put in the root note for each of those chords. And the root is?
C.
And then?
And G.
G, okay. And the functional chord symbols?
1 and 5.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So now the interesting thing is that we have our authentic cadence, we have our Plagal cadence, and when we're doing the half cadence, we can actually have it written two different ways. What does a half cadence have to end on?
On the 5.
On the 5, absolutely. Okay, so go ahead and finish the last one. So the root note there is? F, and it moves up to
G.
G. Excellent. And then the functional chord symbol would be?
4.
Mm-hmm.
And 5.
4 and 5. Now the interesting thing too, Quinn, is that when we're writing our cadences and we're writing our half cadences, can a 5 chord end on a 5-7 chord for a half cadence?
No.
No. The only time we can use the 5-7 chord is only when we're writing a perfect cadence, right? But if we're ending it with a half, we used to have to do the 5 chord.
Yeah.
So now let's have some fun. Let's change that to C minor. So looking at the circle of fifths, Quinn, what's in the key signature for C minor?
We have, it's the same as E flat major, so we have B, E, and A flat.
Okay, B, E, and A flat. So looking at this, and if we're just going to use accidentals, how would you change that first authentic cadence to make it a minor key, C minor? What do you have to add?
The only flat that we would have is E flat.
E flat, correct. And then the only thing you'll have to change is just erase the uppercase I, and we need to change that to a lowercase I. Can you go ahead and change that? Right, but it still is C the root, correct?
Yes.
Now, every time we write the root note, we always use uppercase letters when we're referring to the root. The only time we use lowercase is if we're using functional chord symbols. Okay, let's do the next one. So now we have a Plagal cadence, and now we have to really think about this, because what's in the key signature for C minor?
B flat, E flat, and A flat.
Okay, so look at the 4 chord. Do you have a B, E, or A in there?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Closer. Just kidding. Okay. Yes, you do. So we need to go ahead and put a flat on the A. Very good. And then what about the functional chord symbol? The uppercase Roman numeral 4, you may as well erase the 1 as well.
Yeah.
Both have to be changed to lowercase, correct? So it's still uppercase F. It still is the 4 chord. And put a little dot, very good. And then just the I.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have to finish off. So now we've got the 4 chord. Now we have to finish off the 1, because you also need to put a flat on the
E.
On the E. Good job. Okay, so now we're doing the last one. We've got our half cadence. So let's do the 1-5 half cadence first. So we have C in there, and the key signatures you said was?
E flat major, or sorry, C minor with B flat, E flat, and A flat.
Okay, do you have anything in there you need to change?
You
need to put an accidental on what in the 1 chord?
Accidental on the E flat.
Correct. Okay, so now we need to change that I to a lowercase I for the 1. Now, what do we know about the 5 chord in a minor key? It always has to be?
It still stays major.
Still stays major. So we need to add anything?
With accidentals, no.
No, correct. Because what would be the raised 7th note of C minor?
The B flat to the B natural.
Exactly. And since we're using accidentals, do we need to put in a natural sign?
No.
No, because it has a function, right? The function of a natural sign is to cancel the key signature. Excellent. Okay, so then we don't need to change that to a lowercase. And now in the very last one, we have 4-1. Do we need to change anything in there? Do we have any B flat, E flat, or A flat?
No.
Check again.
Yes, we do.
Okay, that's all right, Quinn. So go ahead and add that. What are you missing?
The A flat.
A flat. Very good. And then we're going to change that lowercase 4. And as you just said, we don't need to change the 5 because
even in a minor key, it stays major.
Even in a minor key, that 5 chord is major, major, major. So we have authentic cadence, which has also been referred to as perfect. We have plagal, half cadence, also referred to as imperfect. Okay, good. So are you ready, Quinn? You're going to do page 114 to page 118 in your Intermediate Rudiments workbook. You all set?
Yep.
For sure?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Page 114 to 118. Nice work. In the new RCM syllabus, students are asked to identify cadences as authentic, plagal, or half. Now, in the Intermediate Rudiments workbook on page 118, question number 3, for each of the following cadences, students are asked to name the key. So here we have E flat minor, and the type, perfect, plagal, or imperfect. Now, I would suggest that you have students write both answers here, so they'll have perfect and authentic. And you can just put that below in brackets if you'd like to, so they see both names, the authentic and also the perfect. In the Level 6 Supplemental Workbook, page 40, you will see the review of the authentic and half cadences to be used after intermediate, page 118. Now here, you will review the half cadence, or imperfect cadence, and the authentic cadence, or perfect cadence. Now here's the very important part of what these cadences are called. A perfect authentic cadence, known as PAC, is the same as an authentic cadence, except that the top voice in chord 1 must end on a stable scale degree, the tonic, right, the first degree. And it's written in the treble clef as the highest notes. So when identifying cadences, write out the cadence identification chart. This is going to make it easy for your students. Now, if there's no room to write a cadence identification chart, then you're going to use your UMT whiteboard. Now, cadences are also identified by the root quality chord symbol. So here, we're going to actually take a look at the answer book. This is Level 6 answer book, page 41. Now remember, the answers are identical to the student workbook, and the answers are handwritten, so it's really easy to mark their work. Now the Sola Says box provides important information. And here Tito asks, why are the root quality and functional chord symbols in root position? He looks, inquiring minds want to know, right? Because the root of the triad is in the bass, and the lowest note names the position of the chord as root position. So that's why. Now, students can easily name the key, and they can write the root quality chord symbol above, of course, and they can write the functional chord symbols below, and then identify the type of cadence, half cadence or authentic cadence. Now here's Quinn, my handsome Quinn, to complete his functional chord symbols and cadence identification chart. So let's watch Quinn. All right, so now Quinn, I'm assuming you've done your homework, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And so you have finished up to page 118 in the Intermediate Rudiments workbook, and now we're on page 40 in the Supplemental Level 6 workbook, learning about the half cadence, the authentic cadence, and today we're going to talk about what is a perfect authentic cadence. So the first thing we're going to do is put our root quality chord symbols above our cadences. So Quinn, what are the root quality chord symbols for that perfect cadence you've got going on there, 5-1 authentic cadence?
First one is G, and the second one is C minor.
Very good. C minor. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one. So we're in C minor. So now we have a double bar line. That's going to cancel out that E flat, right?
Yeah.
So now what is the next measure? We have G to C. So go ahead and put your root quality chord symbols there. Now I noticed you didn't put a little M after that C. Why not?
That's just because there's no E flat to make this minor.
Correct. Okay, excellent. So now we're going to take a look at one more thing. So I noticed that both of those are 5/1 authentic cadences, correct? Now here's the difference. When we look at this, and I'm going to kind of sneak in on Tito because he has a question for you, and he says, why are the root quality chord symbols, right, and the functional chord symbols in root position? So you're indicating all of these chords are in root position. How do you know that, Quinn?
Because the bass note shows the root of the chord.
Exactly. So it's always going to be in root position, even though if we look at the triad and the treble clef, it indicates that it may be in first inversion or it may be in root position or second inversion, but it's always in root position because of the bass note, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now we're going to talk about the authentic cadence when we're referring to it as PAC. And could you just write the letters P-A-C just above that G and C up there? P-A-C. And the P-A-C stands for perfect authentic cadence. And what that means, Quinn, if you can point for me, when we look at the one chord in the C major, what is the upper note?
The upper note is C.
C, and C is known as the
Tonic.
tonic. When we have the tonic in the upper voice, it's called PAC, a perfect authentic cadence. Point to the upper note in the C minor triad. Is that the tonic?
No.
No. So that is still an authentic cadence, but it's not a perfect authentic cadence. So sometimes we get a little bit confused with, what do we call this cadence? But the first one is called an authentic cadence. The second one is also called an authentic cadence, but it's also a perfect authentic cadence because of the tonic note in the upper voice. Very good. So now we have one more cadence that we're going to do, but this time we're going to take a look at what Sola says. She says, no room to write a cadence identification chart, question mark. So Quinn, use your, drum roll, whiteboard. So here's Quinn with his ultra whiteboard. I see you've prepared it already, so that's excellent. So now on page 40, we're actually going to do the exercise at the bottom of the page in 3/2 time. So now, Quinn, you've started your identification chart. I see that. And we've got it up on the whiteboard. So in 3/2 time, before we identify that cadence as being a authentic cadence, a half cadence, or an imperfect cadence, we first have to identify what are the possibilities, correct?
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with our chart. What is the key signature we're looking at here?
We have 3 sharps.
Exactly. So look on your circle of fifths, and if you can just draw a little line underneath, what are our options if we have 3 sharps? The 2 choices are what?
F sharp minor or A major.
Very good. Okay, so go ahead and write that on your whiteboard. So the 2 choices are A major or F sharp minor. So now we need to go ahead and finish our identification chart. So if it's A major, we have 1, 4, 5, and F sharp minor, we have lowercase 1, 4, 5. And after we complete that, then we'll go ahead and look at the cadence on the whiteboard. So what would be the 1, 4, and 5 for major?
For major, it would be A, D, and E.
So you're going to go ahead and put in D, and then E, and underneath that you're going to put your functional chord symbols. So what number is D?
4.
4, very good. And E is?
5.
5, excellent. And go ahead and put the functional chord symbols, or sorry, the root quality chord symbols above. So that would be D and
E.
And E for easy. Excellent job, Quinn.
The second bright idea is analysis. Why? Good question, right? Why does anyone need to analyze anything? Well, let's check it out. In the intermediate workbook, lesson 12, pages 132 to 139, Students learn that analysis of a piece of music develops a deeper understanding of the composer's ideas and gives direction to the musician for how the piece should be performed. Now, I have a quick question for you, and I just want you to put the answer in the chat box here. When you are learning a piece, do you sight read the piece first and then say, all right, now let's kind of take a look at what we've done and analyze it? Or do you analyze the piece first and then do you sight read the piece? So sometimes there might be pros and cons for doing it either way. Which way do you do it? Analysis first or perform first, or I should say sight read first. So just throw that in the chat box. I'm just kind of curious because everyone learns different and we all teach a little differently as well, don't we? So here we have our analysis. And I think for myself, you know what, sometimes I do it both ways. Sometimes I like to analyze a piece of music and then do the sight reading. And other times I just want to play it. So I'll just kind of open my book and take a look at the music. So thanks for answering those questions, Sam. I appreciate your comments in the chat box here on our webinar today. Now, in the Intermediate Rudiments Workbook, on pages 132 to 139, once students have completed this, they're now going to go on to melody writing and movements and elements. And we use this in the level 6, page 46, and this is after intermediate, page 139. So after Intermediate Rudiments, page 139, now students will complete level 6, page 46. So let's see what SOLA says. SOLA says a melody may be written using 3 types of melodic movements. Conjunct, so the melody movement is by step. Disjunct, melody movement by skip or by leap. And status, which is actually Greek for standing still, so repetition of a note before movement in the melody. Now there's also, a melody also has 2 main elements, and they are, you with me? Melodic structure, right? The shape or the curve that creates that design, and rhythmic structure. And we're going to see how those are actually combined today. So let's do a quick exercise. I would like you to just write your answers in the chat box and let's see how quickly we can do our homework today. So now we're on level 6. We're on the answer page 46. So the melody movement for A, take a look at the music. The melody movement is it conjunct, disjunct, or status? And the answer is, write it in the chat box. I see some answers coming in. The melody is conjunct, right? Because we see it moving by step, ascending or descending. For B, the melody movement is, what is your answer here? I see it moving by leaps, right? And by skips. And so the answer is disjunct. And for C, the melody movement is, well, we see a lot of repeated notes there before moving on to the next. You might even recognize that little melody there, and that is status. Now, question 2 says, identify each of the following elements as melodic structure or rhythmic structure. So go ahead and write your answers in the chat box with me because it's nice to, engage in participation when we're on our webinar together. So what is the main element? So identify each of the following elements of music as melodic structure or rhythmic. So the main element is, we see there's movement of the melodic line, so that would be melodic structure. And of course, the second one, there's no movement at all, so this would simply be the rhythmic structure. So now we want to kind of see, well, how are we going to put that all together? So in level 6 on page 47, when students are doing melody writing in a parallel period and analysis, I just want to point out one more important thing. So take a look here at the Tito Tip, just at the bottom of the page. So on the Tito Tip, just to avoid confusion between a musical phrase, which is of course a slur, and an analysis phrase, which is written over an analyzed, that's hard to say, analyzed section of music, use the square analysis phrase mark. So that square analysis phrase mark, that's what we want to use when we're actually identifying whether it's an A or an A1 or whatever it is. Okay, so now in the level 6 on page 47, students are now going to complete this exercise. So here, they're going to draw an analysis phrase mark. So this is what I'm talking about. This is that square bracket rather than using a slur. Okay, so it just kind of keeps things neat and tidy, and that way they don't get confused. Very good. In level 6, we're going to check in now with Quinn and listen to why he thinks we need to analyze our music. So here's Quinn.
Okay, Quinn, so we've been talking about the parallel period. We learned about that in level 5. So why do we need to analyze our music anyway?
Well, because sometimes when you're playing music, it makes it, I guess, easier to play when you understand what you're playing, why you're playing it, and maybe where you're going next in the song.
Yeah, so we kind of have an idea as to, well, you know, it's interesting that you said that. It's kind of like a roadmap, isn't it?
Yeah.
You kind of need to know, like, where are we going before you just get in the car and hit the highway. So good answer there. Okay, so let's go ahead and play that first melody. So this is in parallel period. So you're just going to repeat measures 1 and 2 into 5 and 6 as you're playing it. So go ahead and play that for us, Quinn. Well done. So let's quickly answer the questions here. So when you had the first movement, the melodic movement in measures 1 and 2, and you repeated that into measures 5 and 6, was that conjunct, disjunct, or status?
That would be disjunct.
Right, because you can see it move by leap and by skip, right? And then what about the chord in measure 1? So go ahead and play that. Okay, so what is the root of that chord?
That's A major.
A major, very good. Okay, and you move that up into root position. So what about the second chord there? Can you go ahead and play all the notes in the second measure? Okay, so what chord is that?
That's E dominant 7th.
Dominant 7th. Excellent. Okay, so we've got chord 1 and we've got chord 5. Okay, so now the next question says, the melodic structure in measures 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, are they the same? Are they similar? Or are they different?
They're different.
They're different because in measure 3, we're moving up, and that one would be considered conjunct, right? And then in the second last measure, we're just moving by step and skip. So then we're moving down, aren't we? So we have sort of two different things happening there. And then what about the cadence? So in phrase A, we see that we have a 4/5 cadence. So what is that called, a 4/5 cadence?
That's a half cadence.
Half cadence. Okay, and what about the 5/1 cadence? That's called a what?
5/1 is authentic.
Very good. Okay, thanks, Quinn. Great job.
The third bright idea is form. How do we identify it? That's a good one, isn't it? How do we identify form? In the Intermediate Rudiments Workbook, there are 12 accumulative review tests, one at the end of each lesson, including the final exam at the end of lesson 12. So in the Intermediate Rudiments Workbook on page 144 in the final exam, question number 10, students are asked to analyze this piece called Farewell, My Friends, composed by Sheila McKibben-Uren. Now, not only do students learn how to analyze the form, but they can also sight read this piece. They can write words, transpose it, have fun, exploring different ways of interpreting the music. I think you'll be surprised with what some students come up with, right? It's a lot of fun. Form. So the building block of binary form. Now, you're going to use this after Intermediate Rudiments, page 144. In level 6, right up here, okay, so in level 6 on page 52, SOLA says, What is she saying? The building blocks of binary form create a specific design structure in composition. And so here we see our building blocks, the motive building blocks that can be repeated or varied, and of course our phrases. So a parallel period, the A ends with a half cadence and the A1 ends with authentic. And then our contrasting period, now we're going to have a new A that ends with the half cadence, and then of course the B that ends with the authentic cadence. And this creates our binary form. So binary form uses the building blocks of A, section A, and we use the capital, like an uppercase A for section A, and section B combined. So there's two main divisions with a strong cadence ending on the end of each section. Now here's Quinn with Farewell, My Friends on page 144 of the Intermediate Rudiments Workbook before moving on to the Level 6 Supplemental Workbook. So here's Quinn. Well, it looks like Sola and Tito are saying farewell, my friends, right, Quinn? Sometimes when you say bye to your friends, it takes a little while, doesn't it? I just want to tell you one more thing, right?
Yeah, you just want to go back for like one last hug or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just not quite ready yet. So this piece is called Farewell, My Friends, actually written by Sheila McKibben-Uren, the co-author of the supplemental series with me. And what do you notice? Do you think she was ready to say goodbye to her friends at the end, Quinn?
I don't think so.
Okay, tell me why. Do a little analysis here. How do you know she wasn't quite ready just to say goodbye immediately?
Because at the end of the piece, it says dies al fine, which means to go back to this sign and then go all the way until it says fine.
Ah, so she wasn't quite ready just to say bye.
Yeah, she wasn't ready to end it right there.
No, and so I think you should give Sola and Tito a little high five. They've been hanging with you all day today, Quinn.
Bye.
Bye. So now in level 6, so now we're looking at page 52, and it says building blocks of binary form use after page 144. So you've finished page 144 now, and let's take a look at the binary form. So in the first one, Quinn, we see there's section A, and we have a couple of light bulbs in there. We have A and A1. So do you think those light bulbs are the same or different or similar?
Well, they're not the same, but they're kind of similar.
They're kind of similar. So when we have a parallel period, what happens in measures 1 and 2 and measures 5 and 6? They are what?
1 and 2 are the same, but 5 and 6 are altered and different.
Well, they are, but not in the parallel period, right? So if we're thinking about a parallel period, and maybe you can just point up there right beside the little light bulb. So measures 1 and 2 are...
Measures 1 and 2?
Yeah, measures 1 and 2, just a higher, where it says measures, there you go. 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 are repeated, an exact copy, right?
Okay. Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, okay, now I got it. Okay, and so what is altered is the last two measures where it says new answer. Okay, so now, what about, that's okay, what about contrasting period? What does contrast mean anyway?
It's like the differences, I guess, in it.
Yeah, exactly, differences. So take a look at those two light bulbs. Are they the same or are they different?
I'd say they're pretty different.
They're pretty different, definitely. They're not even similar. They're like, well, that's completely different. Okay, so a contrasting period. What happens here between measures 1 to 4 and 5 to 8 is that they're same or different?
They're different.
They're different. So when we bring our cadences to a conclusion at the end of a contrasting period, if we look at contrasting, which is the new one that we're talking about, the A ends with what kind of a cadence?
The A ends with a... I'm not sure, actually.
Well, point to where Tito is with his little light bulbs.
Tito's here.
Right above that, it says A to the right. Down.
A ends with a half cadence.
Ah, Quinn can read. Woot, woot. Okay, and then what does it say about the B?
B ends with an authentic cadence.
B ends with an authentic cadence. Okay, so let's repeat that so we remember it. When we have, and now we're going to start with parallel. So we're starting with Sola. So point to it again and tell me what it is. A parallel period. You're up with Sola. A ends with what?
A ends with a half cadence. And A1 ends with an authentic cadence.
Okay, what about a contrasting period?
A also ends with a half cadence, and B also ends with an authentic cadence.
Okay, so both of these are question and answer 4-measure phrases. So then what is the difference between a parallel period and a contrasting period? Is that in a parallel period, we have A and A what?
A and A1.
A and A1 because they're similar. And in a contrasting period, we have what?
A and B because they're pretty much completely different.
Very good. Now you got it?
Yeah.
Give me a thumbs up.
I got it.
The fourth bright idea is melody writing. Where do we start? That's a good question. Level 6, page 56. Melody writing. Where do you start? Well, start with ice. Imagine. Use your imagination to create a title that describes your composition. Compose. Write your composition and add your name, top right as the composer. Explore. Add solo sparkles, terms and signs, articulation, and so on to express how the music is to be played. Now, Sola says, when composing, follow these 3 composing steps. So number 1, record your melody as you play and use it as a reference. Now, this is really important because sometimes we might play a little something and then we go, oh my goodness, what did I play? I can't remember. It was so good. So always record it just with your phone or any recording device. Then write your melody on the whiteboard and try different ideas because, of course, it's easy to erase on the whiteboard. And finally, number 3, write your melody in your workbook and then add your solo sparkles of articulation and dynamics, etc., to create your final composition. All right, exercise number 1. Complete the following melody to create a parallel period. Now, in this exercise, we're going to actually look at the answer book. Level 6, the answer book, page 56, melody writing with ice. Now, students, imagine what their melody is about and complete the title, and then they add their name as the composer. Identify the time signature and key signature, and then complete the composition. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that you will notice there are functional chord symbols. Oh, sorry, there's my title and me, the composer. Now, here's the functional chord symbols that are below each measure. So playing the chords first while humming, or just experimenting with the melody above the chords, then that often helps students complete the first 4-measure phrase ending with a half cadence and the second 4-measure phrase ending with an authentic cadence. And you can also add your solo sparkles of articulation and dynamics. Now remember that articulation may include a slur or staccatos. And previously, remember when identifying our 4-measure phrases as A, A1, or B, we're going to use square brackets so that it's not confusing with articulation such as a slur, right? So, Tito time. Get your composer's certificate. If you scan your composition on this page and when you send it in to us at info@ultimatemusictheory.com, we'll send you a special Ultimate Music Theory Composer's Certificate, absolutely free. So just send that us to your composition, and it'll be great to see what you guys come up with. I'm excited. Melody writing. Where do you start? Do you start at the piano? Do you start writing on your whiteboard? Do you start writing directly in your workbook? Your ideas and those of your students about where to start melody writing may be different, right? So when you ask any composer, they'll always come up with something different. Oh, I just jot it down on a piece of paper or staff paper. Oh, I like to write music on the guitar or the piano. So I'd love to hear your ideas. So here's another question for you. Where do you start your melody writing? So just leave me a little note in the chat box here. Do you start at the piano? Do you just kind of sing it? Do you write it on your paper or your whiteboard? So go ahead and add that in the chat box for me.
In the meantime, let's check in with Quinn and see where he likes to start his melody writing. So now, Quinn, we are on page number 56, and we are doing Imagine, Compose, and Explore. Now, I'm actually showing the answer book here because as we started this, Quinn, I kind of let you play the answer book first, didn't I? And the reason for that is just to kind of give you a clue, like how do we get started with composing? Have you ever done a lot of composing?
Not really.
Not really. So were you a little bit nervous when I said, hey, we're going to be composing today?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Because you just kind of don't know where to start. So here's the little instructions when we're doing our Imagine, Compose, and Explore. So we want to imagine, what are we writing about? Like, we got to think about that first, right? And then we want to compose our composition and make sure you identify yourself as the composer and explore, adding solo sparkles. So inside the box, Sola says, when composing, follow these 3 steps. So you want to record yourself. And this is really important because sometimes you play something and you say, oh, what was that again? I forgot what I played. Write the melody on your whiteboard so you can try different ideas. And then you can go ahead and write it in your workbook and add your solo sparkles. So on your whiteboard, maybe just scooch that over into the middle of the keys there. So, sorry, not too far. Otherwise we can't see our original. There. So now what you're going to do, and this is in the key of, you might want to move it over a bit more because we've lost the key signature there. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay. So now we're writing in the key of G major in 4/4 time. Can you just go ahead and play the bass notes for those 1, 4, and 5 chords? Okay, so now we know those are the bass notes. So we're going to write a melody above that. Can you go ahead and play the given melody and then just ad lib? So we're creating a composition here based on the opening phrase, right? It's a question phrase, so we have to end on an unstable scale degree. And then the answer phrase, we have to end on a stable scale degree. So let's see what you've come up with so far, Quinn. Nice work, Quinn. Did you find it helpful to put the chords in there, or could you play that melody without the chords now? Just the melody. Try it.
I think I probably found it easier with the chords because I saw more of my options almost with the left-hand notes, but you want me to try it
Sure.
without that?
Yeah. I kind of put you on the spot there, didn't I? So when you're composing, and I know this is just new for you, do you like to have both hands? Do you like that support of hearing the bass note?
I think so, yeah.
More so than just playing it without?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Gives me more like structure to it almost.
Yeah, it does, and I think it leads you to the cadence ending too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a little more helpful. And did you end the first phrase with an unstable scale degree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Be confident.
Yes.
Yes. And did you end it on the tonic? Did you end it on a stable scale degree at the end?
Yes.
Good job. All right. Quinn is officially a composer. The fifth bright idea is music history. Who are the composers that have contributed so much to the musical world? What are they, or what are they remembered for? And why are they written about in the history books? So, music history, the question is who, right? Who are the composers and what have they contributed? Well, in level 6, page 68, music history, who we learn about is Mozart. Now, we first studied Mozart as a young composer in level 2, and again in level 5, and now in level 6. And as we continue our great adventure in learning about the classical composer, Mr. Mozart, We also learn about the many genres of music that he composed. And one of the exciting things about studying music history with the Ultimate Music Theory Supplemental series is when you go to Ultimate Music Theory or gsgmusic.com, we have created free resources for you for easy access to listening to all the music history requirements. And you're welcome because it was a lot of work and I was really happy to do it for you. Sheila and I have really searched for the very best music videos that will help you in learning music history. While listening to Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik at gsgmusic.com in the free resources, complete the exercises in level 6 as seen here in the answer page, page 69. Now, here you can see theme 1, the rocket theme, right? And so here's where they can analyze that. They can look at the music and then, of course, they can hear it, right? In question 2, also analyze the theme 2A and while listening to the music, of course, and then also theme 2B. So these are really, really helpful to have that music resource at your fingertips. When you go to GSG Music or ultimatemusictheory.com, simply click on the free resources at the top of the page and then scroll down to find the intermediate rudiments. And here in the free resources, you will find the lesson plans for your intermediate level, the certificate of achievement, and an intermediate exam, and of course, answer pages. We always provide teachers with answer pages. You will also find the level 6. Now simply click on the view page to see all the free resources, all the videos for all the music history. And that's all there for you. And you can also send your students there so that they can complete their homework because we don't always have time, right, to do all of the theory homework in class. Who are the performing forces of Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik? Well, perhaps it's strings, stringed orchestra or a string quartet. Perhaps it's vocals, solo or multi-voice. Or perhaps it's the office. Who could imagine they would have instruments in the office to perform Mozart's piece? You kind of see the back of the head of the conductor there. I'm wondering what that would sound like. Well, it looks like Quinn's ready to discover who is the composer of the day. So let's have a listen to Quinn.
Hey Quinn, looks like you're ready for theory.
How'd you know?
Well, I see you got the screen up there, and today we're talking about composers. So who is our composer of the day?
The composer of the day is Mozart.
Is Mozart. So we learned about Mozart in level 2 and in level 5. We learned about the genre of theme and variation in opera. So what is the genre we are learning about today?
We're learning about chamber music.
Chamber music. So what are the performing forces of the Eine kleine Nachtmusik, Quinn?
Yeah, string quartet.
String quartet. So in the Ultimate Music Theory free resources, we're going to take a look at 5 different ways of performing this. It's actually written for string quartet, but it doesn't mean that that's the only way that we can hear it, right?
Yeah.
And I know you've got a few adventurous performances you're going to share with us today. So let's take a look at the first one, which is in fact that string quartet, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So let's have a listen to that one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't it just like a beautiful place too, right, Quinn?
Yeah.
Now, this one, it actually looks more like maybe the time of Mozart because it's just in a really beautiful, small little place. So let's have a listen to this one. Beautiful. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I prefer. Nice. Do you like that one better or do you like the big one?
I think the big one looks nicer, but I think I like the sound of that one better.
You like the sound of that one. So now this looks like it's going to be interesting. So now we have Eine kleine Nachtmusik performed
Sat B, so soprano, alto, tenor, bass. But it looks like is it going to be played with instruments, or what are you thinking?
I think it's just one person singing all the different parts.
All the different
recorded
parts,
together.
right? So this will be kind of interesting, and it must have been quite a challenge for her to wonder, like, which one do you start with, right?
Yeah.
So she had to go in there and record that 8 times, it looks like. So let's see what it sounds like when we hear Eine kleine Nachtmusik with vocals. That's pretty cute, right?
Yeah.
And I think you have a couple more. So now what is this one, Quinn?
This one just looks like something that someone put together as their own version on some sort of synthesizer program.
Okay, excellent. Synthesizer. So we're going to actually get to see the keys playing and the music coming down, but not written as notation, but rather as a computer programming, right? Mm-hmm. So let's see what this one sounds like. Now, for you, Quinn, that might be an easy way to see the music. For someone like myself, like I'd rather read the music in a book and read the notation. And when I see it coming down like that, do you think would it be easy to play it just by reading that, or do you like to read the notes?
I think I personally prefer reading the notes, but I can see how some people would find that a lot helpful.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So now tell me about the last one you're going to show us today.
This is, I guess, a recreation of it using only materials in the office.
In materials in the office. I see that Sol and Tito are sitting in their coffee cups, so they're hanging out in the office too, aren't they? Yeah. So let's see this one. So hopefully everyone has grabbed a coffee, and let's listen to the last one, Eine kleine Nachtmusik, the Office Edition. And remember, all of these are under your free resources on the Ultimate Music Theory website. So you have access to all of these as students are doing their homework on page 68 and 69. So we got you all covered. All right, Quinn, let's have a listen to The Office. That's great. What is the name of that theme? It has sort of a special name that we call it. Starts with an R. It's called the...
I'm not even sure, actually.
Yes, you are. We just did it. Oh, let's zoom back in. What is the name of that theme? The opening theme one is called the...
Rocket theme.
There you go. I'll ask it again. Pretend I didn't ask it the first time. What is the name of that, Quinn?
It's the rocket theme.
The rocket theme. Okay, are you ready to have your coffee?
I am.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, cheers. Thanks, Quinn.
Cheers.
Great job.
The Ultimate Music Theory program was designed to help students learn music theory faster and to have fun learning. And the Ultimate Music Theory program was also designed to help you as a teacher to teach music theory online with our online support and continued NEPD, never-ending professional development. And you can do that with the Ultimate Music Theory certification course for teachers. Now, the Ultimate Music Theory certification course answers all your questions: what, why, how, where, and who, that make teaching music theory easy and actually profitable for your teaching studio. And Sheila and I are so proud of all our UMTC grads. And today, I'd like you to meet Debbie Scott. Our UMTC success story is Debbie Scott from Ontario, Canada. Now, she runs a successful teaching studio of piano and theory, and in fact is a member of our UMT 100% Club. Debbie's student received 100% in the Advanced Rudiments exam, And we congratulate Ultimate Music Theory Certified Teacher Debbie Scott and her student on their outstanding accomplishments. Now, here's what Debbie had to say about the UMT program.
Awesome music educators, and I know you're awesome because you're here. My name is Debbie Scott and I live in Brampton, Ontario. I teach piano, voice, and theory out of my home studio, and I'm always looking for new, innovative ways to improve my pedagogical skills, as I'm sure you do too. In 2009, I discovered the Ultimate Music Theory course, and I've never looked back since. These are the only books I use. They practically teach themselves. Glory St. Germain has come out with supplemental books now that cover the new requirements in the 2016 theory syllabus for RCM. You will learn not only the material, but you will also pick up new teaching and presentation skills and will come away feeling motivated, inspired, and enlightened if you attend the webinars. And yes, your students will get 100%. Some of mine do. One of my students got 98%, one got 99%, and they were so frustrated at missing those 1 or 2 marks. You won't regret allowing these books and webinars to simplify your pedagogical life. Enjoy your teaching, and I'll see you at the webinars.
The Ultimate Music Theory Certification course will give you the what you need to understand learning styles and rapport building techniques, and learn why we master neurolinguistic programming to create successful relationships, and discover how to teach basic, intermediate, and advanced rudiments with massive success, and see where you can create financial freedom with done-for-you marketing to grow your studio. And now, who is the UMTC course for? Well, it's for you and your professional development. We are with you all the way, and it's 100% 30-day money-back guarantee. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So you can get started together with me and get certified. Simply go to ultimatemusictheorycourse.com for all the details and to get certified. You know, thousands of music teachers have had massive success in their teaching as they use the proven step-by-step Ultimate Music Theory system. And the Ultimate Music Theory Certification course is an online course, teacher training pedagogy program that will elevate your professional development. And our UMTC examiner, Sheila McKibben-Uren, and I invite you to join us in the Ultimate Music Theory family and to enroll today and get certified. I know you're going to love it. We're here to support your learning and walk with you every step of the way. In our next session, you will get the Ultimate Music Theory hat. Your 3 success tips for teaching UMT Level 7. Learn why we need the hat tricks and how to use them to generate massive success in your teaching studio. And by the way, smiles are guaranteed with these done-for-you tricks. So I'm looking forward to presenting Level 7 in our next session. Teach with passion.